Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. An update from Ukraine coming from an Ukrainian media outlet, Ukrinform, and this is from the 17th of November 2023. They will tell us what happens the past 24 hours on the front. A little summary. I'm going to use Ukrinform, the Ukrainian media, for the narrative, and I will use a Russian map to show you where things occurred. So let's get started. So Ukrinform today, Friday, the 17th of November 2023. Ukraine reports 72 combat clashes on front lines in past 24 hours. 72 combat clashes took place between Ukraine's defense forces and Russian invaders in different sectors of the front in the past 24 hours. In total, the enemy launched 12 missile strikes and 47 airstrikes and carried out 38 attacks using multiple launch rocket systems on the positions of our troops and settlements. As a result of Russian terrorist attacks, unfortunately, there are wounded among civilian population. Residential buildings and other civilian infrastructure were destroyed and damaged, the post said. The enemy launched airstrikes on Kharkiv region, Luhansk region, Donetsk region, as well as Zaporozhye region. So this on the map would look like this. This is the Ukraine front, and here is Kharkiv or Kharkov region. Then you got Luhansk, then you got Donetsk, then you got Zaporozhye. They're going to talk about Kherson as well in a minute. More than 100 settlements in Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye, Kherson, and Mykolaiv regions came under artillery fire. Now they put Chernihiv, Sumy, and Kharkiv or Kharkov. Here it is. This is Chernigov. This is a Russian map, so then the names are a little bit different. So Chernigov by the Russians, Chernihiv by the Ukrainians, Sumy, and Kharkiv. So they talk about all this being shelled by the Russians, all this, let's say, northeast, east, southeast, and south. Mykolaiv is right here. And then he says, in the area of responsibility of the North Operational and Strategic Grouping of troops in the Volyn and Polisia sectors, the operational situations remains largely unchanged. That is in the north, that area right here. Nothing changed over there. In the Sivershchnya and Slabozhanshchnya sectors, the enemy maintains a military presence in the border areas, conducting active subversive activities in order to prevent the transfer of Ukrainian troops to threatening directions. In the area of responsibility of the Khortytsia Operational and Strategic Grouping of troops in the Kupiansk sector. Now that is right here. We moved into Kupiansk, where things are not going very well for the Ukrainians. Right here, Kupiansk. And then we're going to go south from there. In the Kupiansk sector, the enemy conducted assault operations in the Kharkiv region, where Ukrainian soldiers repelled 4 attacks. On the Liman axis, the enemy conducted unsuccessful assaults near Bilohorivka, Luhansk region. So that is going from here in this area. And then in the Bakhmut sector, the Bakhmut sector is south, is right here, where Artemovsk by the Russians. Right here is Bakhmut. And then from there, we're going to move to Avdiivka and then Marinka. So this is the hottest area of the war. So in the Bakhmut sector, the enemy carried out assault near Klitschivka and Avdiivka in the Donetsk region, where Ukrainian defenders repelled 18 attacks. Also, Ukrainian defense forces continue their assault operations south of Bakhmut in the Donetsk region, inflicting losses on the enemy in manpower and equipment and entrenching themselves on the achieved lines. In the area of responsibility of the Tevrina Operational and Strategic Grouping of troops in the Avdiivka sector. So as I said, Avdiivka is south of Bakhmut, Artemovsk. So here is Artemovsk right here, and Avdiivka is this one that seems to be almost encircled. This is the worst location for the Ukrainians. Seem to cut them off right here, and that would be the end of it. I think it's already mortally wounded. I mean, the Ukrainians I'm talking about. The enemy continues to encircle Avdiivka, but Ukrainian soldiers hold their ground, continues to try to encircle, inflicting significant losses on the enemy. Offensive actions by the occupiers east of Stepove, Avdiivka and Pervomaiske in the Donetsk region were unsuccessful. Ukrainian soldiers repelled 17 attacks. On the Marinka axis, that's south of Avdiivka, Ukrainian defenders repelled 19 enemy attacks near Marinka and Novomykhailivka in the Donetsk region. So, as I said, Avdiivka here, Bakhmut north, Avdiivka, and here is Marinka, right in this area. And then we're going to go a little bit here, Vuhledar and probably Shakhtarske, and then we go to the Zaporozhye region or Oblast. In the Shakhtarske sector, the enemy conducted an unsuccessful assault near Staromayorske, Donetsk region. In the Zaporozhye sector, this is where the Ukrainians had their counteroffensive. Let's put the map bigger a little bit. This area, this is the Zaporozhye Oblast, and this is the sector where the Ukrainians conducted their counteroffensive in the Melitopol, Berdyansk axis or area of attack. They tried to break the Russians in two right here, unsuccessfully so far. So in the Zaporozhye sector, the enemy conducted unsuccessful assaults outside Robotninie and to the west of Verbove, where Ukrainian defenders repelled 6 attacks. At the same time, Ukrainian defense forces continue to conduct an offensive operation in the Melitopol sector. That's what I showed you here. Melitopol is right here, so this sector right here, they tried to break through this, inflicting losses in manpower and equipment on the occupying troops and depleting the enemy along the entire front line. In the area of responsibility of the Odessa operational and strategic grouping of troops in the Kherson sector, Ukrainian soldiers are engaged in counter-battery warfare, inflicting fire damage on the enemy's rear. They didn't say anything about crossing on the other side of the Dnipro River, so now they're talking about Kherson and then Odessa right here, this area. What happened here in the Black Sea? This is from yesterday. Russia's Ministry of Defense reported that the nation's air defenses intercepted 3 Ukrainian drones over the waters of the Black Sea near the coast of the Crimean Peninsula. So that's what the Russians said about this one. Let's go back to the Ukrainians. Throughout the day, the aircraft of the defense forces carried out 2 strikes on the areas where enemy personnel, weapons, and military equipment were concentrated. Units of the rocket forces hit 3 areas of concentration of personnel, weapons, and military equipment, 6 artillery pieces, 2 command sectors, and 2 ammunition depots of the enemy. This is what they report. So again, go to the map. No changes or no major changes, let's put it this way. As of now, I'm surprised I didn't mention that landing here, because they had articles dedicated to that. And supposedly they're going to reinforce the bridgehead over the Dnipro River. So this is an update coming from the Ukrainians, not from the Russians, regarding what happened in the past 24 hours. No major changes. The Russians continue to try to encircle Avdiivka, try to reach Kupiansk, and in Zaporozhye, Ukrainians are trying to break the front in Melitopol area. So, not area, but front direction, however we want to call it. Well, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.